Good morning, everyone, and welcome to our Forever in Motion exercise for today. We'll be working out for about half an hour today. Let's just start by marching out in the spot, and we'll start with a warm-up. So my name is Kimberly. I'm a senior recreation therapist with the Forever in Motion with the Community Older Adult team, which is part of the Saskatchewan Health Authority. So we'll do some of these exercises. Just a couple quick things to remind you is always work at your own pace. So say for example, you feel like you're a little fatigued, you're getting a little tired, feel free at any time to have a seat in a chair and continue on with the exercises seated, or to take a break at any time. You know what you're capable of, what you're able to do, so remember to always work at your own pace. Remember to always have water nearby that you can drink at any time, but at least have a quick drink when I have a drink as well. I have some right beside me here to have every once in a while, and to have some fun. So, okay, let's start with a little bit of a shoulder roll. So let's do a nice big shoulder roll, up, back, and down. Just starting to warm up the body just a little bit here. That's it, that's great, good. And we're marching out here, getting the blood flowing in our body. So for our class here today, we will do about 5 minutes warming up, just some basic movements to get the body moving and the blood flowing. And then we'll concentrate on a little bit of strength here today. And we'll do about 20 minutes worth of strength training. And then we'll wrap up with about 5 minutes of stretching. So we'll aim for about 30 to 35 minutes here today. Good. Okay, let's start adding some different movements here. Let's start with a heel dig in front. So heel dig, that's it. So as we're doing our exercises, a couple other things to remember is to have really good posture. So what we want to think about is our ABCs of posture. So think about our abdominals pulled in, our bum tucked, and our C's stand for chest lifted and chin tucked. So those are our ABCs of posture. You could always just think about pulling the belly button to spine, shoulders back and down. Whatever cues work for you to help you think about good posture, then try to do those. Okay, so we're adding some arms here too. So my arms are swinging at the same time. Sometimes it's a little harder on the brain to think about opposite arm than same arm. So some people might find this easier, and some people might find this just a little harder to have opposite arm, opposite legs. But we normally walk like this, so think about having nice long reach, getting those shoulders warmed up. Now if you're feeling like this is good today, that's fine. If you'd like to challenge your brain just a little bit, then how about you have your arms go in opposite direction than your legs? That just makes you have to work your brain a little harder. And once again, if you're feeling comfortable standing doing this, feel free to stay standing. If you are joining us today and would prefer to do this seated, please feel free to sit down and do the exact same seated. But I'm sitting on the front half of my chair and I'm sitting up nice and tall. My back is not against the back of the chair here. Good. Let's see just a couple more here. 4 more. 3, 2, and last one, and back to that march. Good. Okay, let's do a step touch here. So a step touch is just step together. So we'll take a step to the side, together, step, together. Good. And some of you might have been doing this for a while, so when I say step touch, you're just jumping right into it. And those of you who maybe are new to this, feel free to take your time and take it slow. Remember again, this move here you can do seated as well. Let's add some arms. I usually start with easier arms. I find arms and legs going in the same direction is usually a little easier. Arms and legs going in opposite direction just challenges our brain just a little bit more. So if you feel comfortable with these arms, feel free to stay with this. Otherwise, how about your arms go opposite direction than your legs? Again, just a little harder on the brain. That's it, good. And all throughout, we're making sure we're breathing at the same time. So just take some nice, easy breaths as you're doing this. Just being conscious that you're not actually holding your breath. That's not good for any of us, right? Good. Okay. And one more challenge with those arms. So keep going with those legs side to side, whether you're seated or standing. And then let's add those arms forward and back. Again, some of us might find that harder. Some of us find that no problem whatsoever. And then just a reminder again, at any time, if you like, you can always hold on to your chair too, and maybe just drop the arms in that case. So you always have 3 options: seated, standing, holding onto the back of the chair, or standing without the help of your chair. Okay, let's see, 4 more. 3, 2, and last one. Good. Okay, march that out. Good. Okay, just a couple more big shoulder rolls here. We should be starting to get warmed up. Just having that blood flow a little bit, getting those joints a little warmed up, muscles warmed up before our upcoming workout. And let's just take that down to a really low march and just have a little bit easy tap back here. So nice, comfortable tap back. As we do that, just get a little stretch through the front of the hips here as you do that. Good. And let's actually have both arms come forward. So we'll consider this a little bit of our cool down. So just to start to bring that heart rate down, because we're gonna really focus on our strength today. If you were wanting more cardiovascular, you can always pause this video and do a little bit more cardiovascular. Go for a quick walk first and then do the strength. Or oftentimes what I like to do is I like to follow up after my strength training with a little bit of cardiovascular. And I like to do that because when we do muscle strength exercises, we're actually building up lactic acid in our muscles, which is the reason why we oftentimes feel a little sore afterwards, is that we haven't distributed that lactic acid in the muscles. It sits in our muscles and then we're sore the next day. It's called DOMS, or delayed onset muscle soreness. So if we just have a little bit of a walk, some cardiovascular or some moving around after our strength training, then that reduces that just a little bit. So maybe after you're done the video, go for a little bit of a walk. Okay, so my heart rate feels like it's come down a little bit. Let's just take a couple more deep breaths. Inhale all the way up and exhale. Good. And how are you feeling? You should be feeling like you're a little warm, but you should feel like your heart rate has come down here a little bit. Nice big shoulder roll. Good. And one more time, big shoulder roll back. Good. Okay, this would be a great time for a drink of water. So if you'd like to grab a quick sip. And if you still feel like your heart rate's still a little elevated, just keep those feet moving just a little bit. If you feel like your heart rate's down enough, then we'll start with our strength training portion. Now, I brought today both a band and weights, but I know some of you might not have both. More than likely you'll have tubing, then weights and tubing. So I'll make sure I give you some options for both. Let's start with a back squeeze, and we only would want to do this with tubing. So if you want to grab your tubing or your band. So let's start with good posture. So with our feet about shoulder width apart, let's think about good posture. So whether it's engaging your core, shoulders back and down, or if you like that ABCs of posture. So we'll grab onto our band. I actually like to kind of sometimes grab off to the side just a little bit. I know the center of my band gets used the most, so I sometimes like to grab off to the side just to kind of spread the usage around. So let's have our hands about chest height. Our shoulders should be down, so just be watching that your shoulders are up by your ears. Drop the shoulders, and we're simply going to squeeze those shoulder blades together in the back and release. Squeeze and release. We'll do about 10 to 12 of these. And if this is just not quite hard enough for you, remember, a really quick way of just making it a little bit harder is to double up that band. So I've got a red band, which is about middle of the road, and I've just doubled it up real quick. Now let's remember to breathe here. We should always be exhaling as we exert ourselves. Inhale as we release. We're at about 8 right now. So if you're feeling like that's enough for you today, maybe you haven't done some strength training in a while, feel free to stop. If you're okay coming to 10 to 12, let's just do 2 more here. That's it, remembering to breathe. And those of you who chose to do this seated, that is just fine as well. Just make sure you're sitting with good posture. Good. Okay, let's give that a little bit of a shake. Stretch out those shoulders just a little bit. You might feel that a little bit in your shoulders, upper neck, or upper back, because that really was an upper back exercise. Let's do a chest squeeze now. So what we'll do is we'll put our band in one hand, and again, you can either keep the band doubled up or you could just have one. I'm gonna have my band in my right hand, cross your left hand over top of your right hand and grab the band. Once again, it should be about chest height. And for this one, we're simply gonna squeeze and release. Again, we're gonna breathe at the same time. Exhale as you squeeze, inhale as you release. And once again, you could be doing this seated as well if you prefer to do it seated. Good. Now that's about 3. We're only gonna do about 5 or 6 on one side, and then we're gonna switch to 5 or 6 on the other side, just because one arm tends to pull more than the other. So we'll make sure we're gonna do some on one side, and then we're gonna switch to the other. Okay, so that's good there. That's about 5 or 6. I'm gonna let go with your left hand, and then take your left hand underneath your right, and then once again grab onto your band there, and then let's try that again. Let's squeeze and release. Good. Squeeze and release. So I've just switched my arms around, so the other one's up, the other one's down. Again, make sure the shoulders are down, hands are squeezing about chest height. Good, and let's see 2 more. And last one. Good, very nice, and shake that out. Get that, great job, give that a shake. Again, you might feel that a little bit in your shoulders or upper neck. Just give that a little bit of a shake, release some of the tension from there. Okay, our next one here is gonna be a paddler's row. So this one here we're actually gonna sit for. So we'll all come to a seated position, and if you can't quite see me this direction, I'll quickly swivel in just a minute. But what you're gonna do is you're gonna take your band underneath your feet, so lasso your feet, so give that a little bit of a spin, lasso your feet, get the band underneath your feet. Just like every other exercise, we're gonna think about our posture, so sit up nice and tall, abdominals pulled in, shoulders back and down, chest lifted. And then what we'll do is we're gonna have our legs extended. I always like to recommend you point your toes. I'm not sure if you can see my feet, but point your toes so that the band doesn't snap back at your face. That's not good. Let's take our arms straight out in front, and what we'll do is just simply swing our arms back and then swing forward again. So this is called a paddler's row, or how I've heard it is paddler's row. And bring those arms back and forward. I'm just gonna switch to the side so you can see me from the side direction as well. So pull back, good. And my one arm's getting caught in the chair, but you get the idea of it, that my arms are straight, I'm pulling back, I'm squeezing my shoulder blades together in the back, I'm exhaling as I swing back, inhaling as I release. Again, we're probably about 8 or 9 now, so if you feel like that's enough, you're stopping there. If you feel like you can do just a couple more with me, feel free. Good. That's it. We're all sitting up nice and tall, right? And last one here. Good. And you can always adjust the tension on the band. If that wasn't quite hard enough, you could always grab the band a little lower to make it harder, or loosen up on the band, or release some of the band to make it easier. So remember, you always have the option to change the intensity or level there. Okay, let's take the band out from under our feet here. You can either, again, stay seated or stand up. That was about 3 strength exercises so far. Again, grab yourself a quick drink of water. And again, don't ever wait for me to have a drink. If you want to drink sooner, please have a drink at any time. Okay, let's do some leg strengthening, just to give our upper body just a little bit of a break. So let's go into a basic squat. I know this isn't always everyone's favorite, but it's very functional that we need to do in our everyday life. So I'll start facing you. I'll give you some seated options, and then I'll make sure I turn so you can see it from the side as well. So what we should be doing for a basic squat, our bum should be coming back. Knees should stay in front of the body in line with the body, and our knees shouldn't be going beyond our toes. My chest should also stay lifted. So some things that I always watch for when I'm observing people do squats, those knees shouldn't go forward. The chest shouldn't just dive forward. Really, our bum is coming back, chest is staying lifted, all at the same time. Going to as far as it feels comfortable coming down, not feeling like you have to compete with anybody else. If you're doing this in your own home, you might not have anybody to compete with right now anyways, and that's just what it should look like. I like to refer to this as pretend like you're peeing in the bush. If I was to do this, I would pee on my shoes. We wouldn't want that. So if you have the hips hinge back, bum go back, then you're not going to pee on your shoes. Good. Now if you're doing this seated, feel free to keep going if you're doing that standing. If you're doing this seated, then instead I would just recommend just doing a leg extension. You're simply straightening the legs out in front of you here. From the side it will look like this. So remember, you can be doing it either way, just whatever feels comfortable for you. If you are doing it seated, just make sure you're doing that still with good posture. Okay, whether you're doing it seated or standing, let's see 2 more. Good, and last one. Good, great. Okay, next one we'll be doing is some shoulder exercises here. So let's grab our band. Now this is where you could grab your weights. I'll show you with the band first, but then you can pick either. For the next couple, you can have the band underneath your feet. And if you feel like, again, you're a little unsteady, I would recommend sitting on your chair, putting the band underneath your feet before you actually come to the standing position. So you know you have some options there. So with my band underneath my feet, standing up nice and tall with good posture. I'm going to roll those shoulders up, back and down to make sure I have good posture. I want to have some tension on that band. So I'm actually going to grasp it a little lower so I have some tension on that band. And then I'm just simply going to raise my shoulders and lower my shoulders. So this is working my upper traps and a little bit of my medial deltoids or my shoulders. So this will strengthen kind of the upper neck, upper shoulder region of my body. And again, you can do the exact same thing seated. That's it. If you just want to be sitting on the front half of the chair. Great. Once again, we'll do about 10 to 12 of these. Good. Make sure you're breathing at the same time. Exhale as you lift it up. Inhale as you bring back down. That's it. This one here, I always like to joke. I have 2 teenage sons, and when I ask them how their day at school as it usually is, I don't know. And then I ask them who they played with today, they say, I don't know. So pretend like you're asking a grandchild or a great-grandchild what they've been doing lately, and I bet that's the response you'll get. Great. And last time. Good. Okay, just give that a little bit of a shake there. So once again, you could have done that with weights as well if you have weights, so that's always an option. The next one is a bicep curl. So we're gonna keep that band underneath our feet. We're gonna hang on to our band. I actually like to grab onto my band this way instead of this one. And I don't have knots in this band, but I actually really like when I have knots in my band, so I have something to hang on to. So you can do this, once again, with your band under your feet, or if you prefer, grab onto your weights, and you could do the same thing with weights. It looks exactly the same. And simply bring those hands up towards the shoulders and simply lower back down. Like all the other exercises, whether you're seated or standing, we should have good posture. Our feet should be about hip width apart. That's it, that's looking good. Great. Make sure you're breathing. Exhale as those hands come up. Inhale as you bring them back down. Good. Keep going here. We're not quite at 8 to 10. Just want to show you real quick. If you had weights, you can see it would look exactly the same. My elbows are staying nice and close to my side. Hands are coming up towards my shoulders. I want to avoid swinging of the weights or those elbows coming away from the sides of my body. So I want to keep those elbows close to the side. So you can see it's the exact same whether you're using weights or tubing. Very nice. Let's see 2 more here. And again, we're going somewhere between 8 and 12. More important than the number that you're doing is that you're going to fatigue. So to the point where you feel like you can't quite do one more. And if you're not going to that point, then that's where you'd either want to grab a heavier weight or you'd want to choke up on your band just a little bit more to have a little bit more resistance. So you have some options there. Let's step out from underneath that band. Make sure you're doing that safely. Maybe you're holding onto your chair as you step off and away from that band. And let's grab onto our band in our hands here now. And once again, this next exercise is a tricep exercise, so you can do it seated or standing. So let's hang onto the band with one hand, okay? Let's cross that hand over to the opposite side of the body. So I'm crossed over. You can either get rid of that one half of the band or you can use that to double up the band. So now that I just have one band, I'm gonna grab onto it on the side that that band is, and I'm simply gonna straighten my arm, come straight down and straight up. That's it. I'm a little creaky this morning. Did you hear me pop there right away? Okay, straightening the arm and bending the arm. So this is working our tricep muscle. This is the muscle when you wave, it tends to wave back. I've also heard it called the high Betty muscle. Whatever you like to call it, this is working the back of the upper arm or our tricep muscles. Good. Now once again, if that's not quite hard enough for you, you could always make it harder by grabbing less band, or if it's too hard for you, grabbing it down further so there's more band in between there. So just depending on how hard you want to work. Great, that's about 8. So if you feel like you've had enough, you can stop there. If you're ready to do just a couple more, then feel free. And again, we're breathing. Last one. Good. So we got to switch hands here now. So I'm going to switch the band to my other hand. I'm going to cross the other side of my body. Again, if it's easiest for you just to get rid of half that band so it's not in the way, grasp onto the band. And then once again, straighten the arm and bend the arm. Now you, again, if you're finding this is hard to maybe grasp the band, you could always tie a knot. I find that sometimes helpful. For those of us that maybe have arthritis or it's a little harder to grasp the band, or you can do a loop, but if you're gonna do a loop, make sure that there's some extra band there around. You can see it's very loose on the back side of my band, or on the back side of my hand. You want it so that it's so tight that it's cutting off circulation or it could cut your skin. Okay, we're getting close to the end here now. Let's see 2 more. And last one. Great, and that was our tricep. Okay, let's wrap up with one last leg / balance exercise here today. And so you can just release your band, let that rest on your chair. So we'll do a calf raise. So I would maybe get you to come behind your chair. Maybe I'll just give my chair a quick swivel here so I can reach a little bit better. But what you're gonna do is you're gonna be standing behind your chair. I'm gonna stand with my feet about hip width or shoulder width apart. Now, 3 levels to be able to challenge your balance. Level 1, you need that chair for support, then hold on to that chair. Level 2, fingertips resting on the chair. And then level 3, hands are hovering so that you have that chair in case you need it. I'm gonna come up to my tippy toes here, and then I'm gonna slowly lower back down, and then I'm gonna rock back onto my heels. So this is working my calf muscles as I come up to my tippy toes, and I'm gonna be working the front of my shin when I lift my toes. Good. And as you can see, I'm using my chair as I need to. If I feel like I'm a little unbalanced, I'm using my chair. That's it. Good. We want to challenge our balance, but we don't want to injure ourselves by having a fall. So make sure you're always using your chair as you need it. Good. You're going to keep that bum tucked in as you do that rock back. You don't want to actually sit back with the bum as you're doing that. Try to maintain that posture as you're coming up and back. Good. And again, we're breathing here at the same time. Don't worry so much about exhaling and inhaling at certain points for this one here. Just try to remember to breathe and not hold your breath. Good. Okay, just a few more here. I hope you're doing well there at home. I hope you're working at your own pace. And once again, this exercise here too, if you were to just want to work more of your strength and you didn't feel comfortable standing, you could always do this seated, just simply lifting up to your toes and heels as well. That would be just fine too. Good. Now we're just doing a couple more here. Good. And last one. So that one worked our leg strength, our calves. When we come up to our tippy toes, and as we rock back and lift our toes, our tibialis anterior, the front of the shin. And then we also worked our balance by challenging it by only sometimes using the chair. So we'll do more balance exercises in later videos here as well. So let's wrap up with some stretches. So we're gonna come sit on our chair here. And so sitting on our chair, sit up nice and tall with good posture. So we always wanna stay away from the back of the chair, so I'm sitting on the front half. We're simply gonna extend one leg forward. Now rather than rounding through the back here, we wanna make sure we maintain nice, good posture. Roll those shoulders up, back and down. And we're gonna hinge at the hips rather than the spine. So you're gonna notice I'm gonna maintain my nice neutral spine, hinging at my hips rather than rounding at the spine. You can see the difference there. And I should be feeling a nice stretch through my hamstring. And at the same time, I'm gonna bring my toe towards my shin. I should feel that in my calf muscle as well. So I should feel it all along the back side of my leg there. Good. And we wanna hold our stretches for about 15 to 30 seconds. Feel free to hold them a little longer if you feel like you need that stretch more. Good. And just take some nice, easy breaths with that at the same time. And let's release that. Good. I'm gonna turn to the side just so you can see it from both directions here. Let's extend the other leg out here. And from this direction, you might be able to see that I'm really maintaining my neutral spine. Roll the shoulders up, back, and down. Hinge at the hips, maintaining a nice neutral spine. And then once again, I'm feeling a nice stretch all through the back of the leg there, through my hamstring and through my calf. And just a little bit more of that lift toe if I want to feel that a little bit deeper. But neutral spine, belly button pull in, shoulders back and down. And I'm gonna look just beyond my foot there, just to keep my head and neck in line with my spine as well. Good. And I'm gonna release that, back off of that. Okay, while I'm sitting in this position, I'm gonna go right into a hip flexor quad stretch, and this is the best position to be in. So sitting up nice and tall, I'm just gonna wiggle that foot back. So I'm just gonna wiggle this foot back as far as it feels comfortable. The further kind of the better, because you wanna feel a stretch through your hip flexor here as well as your quadricep. So I'm gonna sit up nice and tall. If I have handles on my chair, I could be holding onto my handles, or I'm just gonna hold on to the back of my chair here just so I don't fall forward, so I feel like I'm a little bit more stable. And I'm gonna sit up nice and tall. Now, already I feel a nice stretch through my hip flexor and my quadricep, but if I wanna feel that just a little bit more, I can do what's called a pelvic tilt. So I'm gonna just pretend like I have a tail, and I'm gonna tuck my tail under. Did you see that movement? So I'm gonna tuck my tail, do a little bit of a pelvic tilt, and then I'm gonna feel it just a little bit more in the front of the hip there. So I'm sitting up tall, a little deeper stretch, and then one more way, if you really want a little deeper stretch, I'm just gonna lean back ever so slightly, and then that even deepens the stretch even more. Great. Okay, and let's release that. Boy, this is a stretch that I do several times throughout my day. I'm gonna face you this time for it. I'm gonna take the other leg back. I do this stretch several times throughout my day. Just I find your hip flexors and your quadriceps tends to be muscles. They get very tight, and they tend to, when they are tight or get worked, it pulls on your lower back just a little bit, and then you end up getting a sore back. So I feel like this is one stretch that is really good just to release some of that tight back muscles. Good. So far we've stretched our hamstrings and our calf muscle, our hip flexors and our quads. We're just gonna do a couple more upper body stretches, and then we'll wrap it up. That's it. So again, sitting up nice and tall, keeping that knee down, back leg is back as far as you can. This is just a different view of the same exercise. Good, and release that. Now you can either stay seated, or if you prefer, you can stand up here. Let's have one arm extended in front. That arm's just gonna come across, like we're maybe pointing to something to the side. The opposite arm will just grasp on, give that a gentle pull. And it really doesn't matter if you like to grab above the elbow, below the elbow, or kind of right at the elbow, it really doesn't matter. Give that a gentle pull across the front. I kind of like just above the elbow, but it really is personal preference. My elbow is slightly bent, so I'm not like I'm doing anything to injure that joint. Good. Okay, you can take that same arm up and back for a tricep stretch. So just give that a gentle stretch. So you can either press the elbow up and back. If you feel like you have really good range of motion of the shoulders, you could bring that arm up and over and give that a pull, only if that feels comfortable for you. And then if you feel like, boy, you really don't have good range of motion of the shoulders, this next time I'll show you another option. Let's release that. Let's have the other arm across the front here for a shoulder stretch. You can just wrap your hand around your neck, and that's just a little bit easier on the shoulders here. So first of all, a shoulder stretch. Good. Now if you're feeling like that tricep stretch was too much, so you can do that, but a little easier version, I just like to walk my hand behind like I'm about to give myself a nice neck massage, and then just give a gentle pull. Maybe that's as far as you want to go, and you already feel a stretch in your tricep muscle when you do it that way. So that would be a level 1, this would be a level 2, and this would be a level 3 if you've got really good range of motion of those shoulder joints. Great. Almost done here, just a couple stretches to go, and release that. Good. Okay, let's do a chest stretch. So let's open up through the chest, stretch out through the front. Isn't this the best part, is the flexibility and relaxation at the end? That's it. Bring those arms back, shoulders back and down. This again would be in my top 2 stretches, would be a chest stretch, just because throughout our day, we are like this so much of our day, because we're so much of that like that, this chest stretch or reverse of that is just so functional and so important to reverse some of that forward flexion we have throughout our day. Let's bring our arms behind our back. Same idea, it's still a chest stretch, but I'm going to bring my elbows back, my shoulders back, and again, open up through the front. So if you could do this a couple times throughout your day, say maybe 2 times, 3 times throughout your day, it would just really help you with your posture. It would really help with reversing some of that forward movement that we do all throughout our day. Good. Okay, wrapping up here. Let's do a nice big shoulder roll here. We'll follow with some deep breaths, and then we'll finish up our class. Great, nice big shoulder roll up, back and down. I hope you had a good time today. I hope you got a really functional workout here. Good, okay, let's take a couple deep breaths here. Just a reminder to have a couple more drinks of water here before you wrap up and after class. Nice deep breath in and exhale. Good. And one more time, nice deep breath in. Good. And exhale. Great. So we're going to continue doing some strength exercises, balance exercises on Tuesdays and Thursdays at 10:30. We hope you join us live. But remember, you can always watch these at any time you'd like as well. If you would like to have done a little bit more cardiovascular today, this would be a good time where you could go for a little bit of a walk right now, just to kind of loosen up the muscles a little bit. Or if you're a little sore tomorrow, then go for a walk tomorrow, and then just do those stretches that we just did just now again. Thanks everybody for joining me. Would love to hear how you like the class, so feel free to reply, like, whatever. And I'll see you again next week. Thanks everybody, take care.